And then, yeah, what basically would do is kind of like yesterday is very conversational. I find with these, just kind of like what you were, kind of going through some of the different initiatives you're involved with. I mean, that's a great topic. It's a good introduction, I think, to help, tell people a little bit about what you're up to these days. So certainly happy to do that, or if there's other things you want to talk about. But I can start with just a, really super quick introduction, mostly just to kind of say, hey, this is Joe Blanchard. And with the company, is it still VE Cats? Is that the way I'm pronouncing it right? Or
Yeah, VCATs. Yep,
VCats?
still
Okay.
the same. Yeah.
VCats. All right, cool. So yeah, I mean, hey everybody, it's Eric here from Steady Notion, and I'm joined today with Dr. Joseph Blanchard from VCats. And Doc, over to you if you want to get into a little bit about what you're up to these days and with your company and where you see things going next.
Thank you very much, Eric. Yeah, it's Joe Blanchard or Dr. Joe Blanchard. I'm a veteran of about 30 years. I could never get my career right, so I was a combat engineer, went to clerk, and then from clerk I went to HCA. Got out the first time in 1998 after 20 years because of knee surgeries. And then somehow I hit my head and found in 2004, I was back in for about 10 years. I went to Afghan, got hurt, come back, and they decided not to love me anymore.
Oh boy.
So I'll say I went back to the high-tech sector. So when I got out the first time, no jobs in healthcare, I went to a high-tech sector. From there, approximately 15 years ago, when I got back from Afghan and going through some of the stuff, and they talked about release, there was really nothing that they would do for us, veterans. Same in 98, nothing available for veterans. So I started developing a concept called VCATS, Veterans Career Assistance and Transition Services.
Mm-hmm.
So over the last 12 years, we kind of formalized it here in Ottawa. My daughter decided to have some children, so we moved back and I opened up an office in the Canada region, Eagleson and Hazelden. So I've been helping veterans now for 12 years transition out, giving them pointers, types of jobs, what type of education and training they need. Since then, over the last 6 years, I tried an element. I had a lot of friends that said, hey, Joe, help me start my business, because I had my business running, or I had 2 or 3 different businesses running, 2 in the high-tech space and 1, of course, VCATs. With that, I said, well, okay, here you're going to need some entrepreneurial education. And at the time, POE, Princess of Operations Entrepreneurship, which is now King's Trust, they no longer, or they used to hold a 1-week boot camp and then day visibility or awareness programs for veterans entrepreneurship. So at that point, I said, hey, you know what we need? We need a veterans entrepreneurship hub. So I started the Vet Hub, but I also had 3 other, actually I had like 10 other initiatives, but 3 main ones, 4 main ones, I apologize. One is Veterans Entrepreneurship Hub. Second was Canadian Military or Canadian Veteran University, National Veterans Affordable Housing Initiative, and the final one was the Indigenous Veterans Wellness Program.
Okay.
So those 4 are kind of been I met a few friends that had told me, Joe, you need to focus on one. And then the other ones you can, do on the side and try to get worked up. So the Veterans Entrepreneurship Hub was the hottest thing back then. I went to Invest Ottawa. Unfortunately, the city and Invest Ottawa didn't have the financial capacity or room to include a Veterans Entrepreneurship Hub. I've been advocating for 6 years. Finally, within the last year, this entrepreneurship hub has come to life. And a lot of, I'll say, political visibility, provincial visibility, university visibility. And I've been meeting with a lot of veterans such as yourself and others, Mr. Walker, Caleb Walker, and several others, and talked about veterans entrepreneurship. Over the last 6 months, the most traction has had. One of the elements I researched years ago was in the United States, they have a Veterans Entrepreneurship Act, or sorry, a Veterans Procurement Act. And the Vet Procurement Act was set aside for a 10% for veteran businesses for all of their militaries, veterans affairs in the government space that they could bid on
Mm-hmm.
and are considered higher on the list than other companies. They had a 3% commitment to injured veterans. So anybody that was injured or released on medical, whether it be, limbs missing, and now, the OSI elements have come into it. So I brought that here 2 years ago to Canada and said, hey, let's look at a Veterans Procurement Act for Canada. Unfortunately, mentioning an act in different political spaces raises a lot of hairs on the back of someone's head. So I recently met with the deputy minister, and we talked about the opportunity to create a special carve out or an initiative that would allow veterans to be able to get into the procurement piece a little bit faster and be able to bid on things that are coming out of D&D, CAF, RCMP, Veterans Affairs, and now, of course, the Coast Guard.
Wow.
There are other Public Safety Canada organizations that still fall in, and I kind of, work on those in the background. I don't bring visibility, and you would understand that piece.
Yeah.
From there, I identified like 4 to 5 key elements for the veterans entrepreneurship. Number one is to have a stream for female veterans only.
Mm-hmm.
Have another stream for education and training. Another stream for policies and advocacy in regards to the entrepreneurship hub. Partnerships was a part of that. And then kind of like a final main character piece was mentorship. So with the mentorship, there's a lot of individuals, and I've met with a lot of people over the last 10 to 12 years that said, hey, I got nobody to help me with marketing. I got questions. I got to look at this, what are the elements I'm missing? What am I doing wrong? So the mentorship piece is another critical component, as with the procurement.
Yes.
The last piece of that is the financial runway to be able to start your business and support you through the critical time period of 1 to 5 years. And within the first year, 10% of all businesses in Canada, startup businesses in Canada, close. It increases to 30% after 2-3 years, and at the 5-year mark, it's 50% of all those small businesses are closed.
Wow.
I haven't seen the statistics, although I want to create statistics for veteran-owned businesses specific. But from my understanding, a lot of people have closed their doors in the first year because they don't have the mentorship, they don't have the education piece after the 1-week boot camp that they took, and these elements of a procurement act. So I've kind of placed all of these elements together now. I've created a board of directors, and that board of directors is almost complete. I've got 1 or 2 other positions I'd like to fill, and we've started a management team. And the reason I've done this is we've created a lot of visibility politically and provincially, nationally, for 3 different provinces that want to look at what we're doing. I'm working presently with the province of Nova Scotia, who have said, hey, we're very interested, and they have identified veterans entrepreneurship as a gap. We know that, 6 years ago, the Prime Minister gave $50 million to women's entrepreneurship. A year later, they gave, I think it was $25 million to Black entrepreneurship. And a year later, veterans entrepreneurship, Indigenous entrepreneurship got a portfolio of money. Now it's time for veterans. And Nova Scotia has identified that as a gap. And I'm working with their department. I'm working with ACOA, and I'm working with St. Francis Xavier or St. FX University, which includes the Cody Institute. And the Cody Institute at St. FX is their entrepreneurship wing. St. FX does all the teaching and training on a degreed program or a certified program in the entrepreneurship space. So presently, I'll be meeting with the government next week in Nova Scotia, and we're going to finish off a proposal to run an entrepreneurship proof of concept, and then shortly thereafter, a pilot with support from both the province of Nova Scotia and ACOA, which is the Fed Dev Investment organization down on the East Coast. And they service the whole 4 provinces within the East Coast. I also have...
Joe, sorry, just to interrupt. This pilot, can you speak a little bit more? Can you give us kind of a sneak peek of what this is going to look like? Because I mean, some people hear the word pilot and they're like, "Is this the guy that flies the plane, or what?" What's what are we talking about here?
So the first thing we're going to do is a proof of concept with the Cody Institute. Hopefully, we can get the financial backing now, because we have to book the summer residents for people to come in. So we're going to host the same boot camp style training at St. FX in the summer. And from the 20 individuals that are going to attend that training, the pilot will be started in the fall. And we're going to take any of those individuals that want to start a business, and we're going to help them start their business. So they're going to start their business, they're going to build their business, then they're going to grow their business and manage that business. So we're going to support them with the financial opportunity or financial runway, and we're going to have the mentorship piece in place. And the intent for the pilot is I'm going to embed the Veterans Hub today with one of the incubator organizations in Nova Scotia, right in Halifax. So we're going to onboard them after the the proof of concept education piece. Then the second piece is to onboard and conduct a pilot of a minimum 5 businesses, and go through all of the elements that they're going to require on starting their business and building their business.
And this
which
is
includes,
across,
of course, mentor.
And this is across Canada, open to any veteran?
No, this will just be Nova
Scotia. So Nova Scotian veterans, pay attention. This is going to be for you coming up this summer. For anybody who's out there who's watching this, or if you have a friend out in Nova Scotia that's maybe looking to get into business, this could be a good opportunity for them. So if I'm getting this right.
You, Eric. Yes. No, exactly what it's going to be. And from there, once we finish the initial 3-month pilot, so by Christmas time, we're going to produce a report for the Minister of Veterans Affairs, Minister McKnight, and through the chair of the Veterans Committee, Deputy MP Marie-France Lalonde from Orleans, we will present the case to the government to receive an appropriate, I say appropriate might be a bad word, but a series of funding that will support veterans entrepreneurship as had been with women's, Black, and Indigenous entrepreneurship. Today, one of the catalysts for us to get this done is the investment in defense and security. There's not a better business as a veteran-owned business of people that have been on the front line and know exactly what we need. Funding those businesses requires a significant amount of veteran funding or Vet Hub funding to create that runway so that, excuse me, other businesses could be very successful. They'll have the money to get through, the first 2 years of their business and be able to sell a product, whether it's to private industry or it's to public. And public, remember, it's not just D&D CAF, it's RCMP, it's, several other departments in the government that would benefit from veteran-owned businesses and their products and services. So, that's kind of the idea. And once we have that, provide the report to them and show them, as we did with Veterans Affairs, the Veterans Committee at VAC, where everybody came in and presented about, veterans entrepreneurship in Canada, the barriers to entrepreneurship. And my message and what I've been writing on LinkedIn, the numerous different articles that I've produced are all focused on the exact same barriers that all of these entrepreneurs had indicated during their presentation to the Veterans Committee.
Wow.
So, it's all coming to, I say, the funnel is now coming down into the pipe, and hopefully shortly with that pipe and receiving funding, we can provide that opportunity after service to veteran that want to start their own business. And I just want to clarify one thing. The veteran business, it's not necessarily a high-tech startup business.
Mm-hmm.
It could be your own home-based business. I want to do plaques. Joe Blanchard does river tables or acrylic tables. I love it.
Hmm.
So I need to buy the equipment, and it's quite expensive sometimes, especially when you're talking the acrylic in the center of a 4-foot table by 24-inch with a 10-inch center.
Hmm.
It's $650 just for the epoxy.
Wow.
So you can imagine, the molds and everything else that goes into it, not including your time.
Mm-hmm.
A 24 by 48 table that I have sitting in front of me that I made costs at least $1,100 to $1,200. And then, you got to understand how to price yourself and how to market that and go from there. So it's about $1,500. A guy offered $1,500 and the table wasn't even finished. So, these are opportunities that you can have, and you can start a small mom and pop shop of 3 or 4 or 5 people, delivering gloves to the military, specific, special forces gloves that, we used to use or we need. And even the soldiers, like with sleeping bags and I'm, kind of going on the stretch. So with that, like I say, I've met with the Deputy Minister of Procurement, and we're also looking at the opportunity so that when a soldier gets out, we will retain your security clearance so that you don't have to, on day one to become a civilian, lose your security process, go through the 18 months, a year to 18 months to get it back. We're going to save that a time frame, which also helps you with your veteran-owned business, because then you can get in right away and start bidding on stuff. And of course, like I say, we're looking at this reduced capacity, of which PSPC, or Procurement and Services Canada, have come out or will be coming out very shortly with a new modified procurement process that cuts that down from 3 to 5 years to 1 to 2 years. And we're going to cut it into 6 months to 15 months for veteran-owned businesses.
And for anybody who's not necessarily in the loop, this is a significant aspect, because if anybody who's ever worked defense procurement or has had any sort of dealings at all with government procurement in general, as most folks may or may not be aware, it's a pretty involved process. It takes a long time. Normally a lot longer than most fledgling businesses have the capacity to continue to stay viable while they are waiting for that opportunity to materialize. Because government typically marches to the beat of its own drum, there's this disconnect often between the private industry and with government not like lining up in terms of those timeframes. And a lot of this also sort of stems from, we have incumbents and folks that are generally well equipped, they're well resourced, they're bigger companies that will come in, and they have no issue waiting things out. They can wait as long as the government is going to take. It's not an issue for them. We're not talking about those companies. We're talking about the smaller startup, young people, the young people in terms of their business young. So this is awesome, Joe. And I mean, good on you for recognizing this as an issue and for actually doing something about it and putting these wheels in motion. It's just absolutely fantastic. Can't underscore this enough.
Thank you very much, Eric. Yeah, and you hit it bang on. The larger defense and security companies, they have the capacity, financial capacity, to wait out that 3 to 5 year procurement process before they can sell a product to the government. And we're not making airplanes. I think some are making drones, which are a key element. But shortening this process for us creates a survivability.
Yes.
For the veterans entrepreneur. And even if government was to bring it in for other small companies, then they can go from there. So yeah, that's a key point. That's a killer of small businesses wanting to do government contracting. If you don't have a private industry part of your business that brings in the money, you'll never survive past your first year.
Yeah, 100%. What's the outlook for you as far as this initiative that you're saying you're running, the kind of proof of concept in the summertime? I believe you said at Antigonish, like with St. Effects. So getting that first cohort through the door and just sort of like, I'm thinking now, have you gone out and recruited some people to become a part of this first cohort? What is that looking like? Like, I guess speaking to your marketing experience and how you've had, obviously your own challenges in your business throughout the years, what does that look like? Can you kind of, shed some light on how that's going or?
Right. So I'm the type of person, and I've learned from many of my veteran entrepreneurs. The one thing you do is you don't go out and promise the world without any money.
Mm-hmm.
So the financial capacity to do what we want to do is there. I just got to get the paperwork done. Very shortly, I'm going to start advertising within through the military networks and veteran networks, Greenwood,
Okay.
Halifax. I'm going to do Shearwater, Sydney, because the large unit is there, and start saying, hey, we're looking for anybody that would like to go to St. Effects in the July, August timeframe for a week to do veterans entrepreneurship, and then be able to look at starting a business for a pilot in the end of August, early September timeframe. So I'm going to start doing that now so that I can generate that interest. But I don't ever want to promise anything, because if you ain't got money, things just do not work.
Yeah.
So hopefully shortly, with this support, the support of Deputy Marie-France Lalonde in Orleans, we will be able to receive some grant funding from the Wellbeing Fund at Veterans Affairs. And then second, for the pilot, and injection from FedDev, which is ACOA, and the province of Nova Scotia to support the vet hub inside another incubator in Halifax. And that way we can provide the mentorship, the financial resources, the continuing education you're going to need, and those type of supports going forward.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm just going, because the wheels are sort of spinning. I'm trying to, just right now, I'm trying to think of other, potential folks you could talk to help get this message out. I might have some of that later on to share with you, just because, again, I don't want to spill my beans right now. It might not be a good time to do it over in real time, like, hey, what about this person or whatever. But no, this is really cool. Really cool, Joe. And like I said, good for you for doing all this. It's certainly,
thanks.
I think, like most things, it'll be probably, in some ways underappreciated at the time, but as, people realize the full extent of what you've set up, they're like, oh my goodness, like, what did we do without this? So so cool.
The current, like, I'm focused phase one on getting the pilot and getting that paperwork in. Phase two is to receive the funding to set up the National Veterans Entrepreneurship Hub. It has to go in Orleans because Marie-France Lalonde has asked for it there. But ideally, we would have a Veterans Entrepreneurship Hub in the Ottawa region because of the political aspect, the education aspect, and the access to veterans all around this area, whether it's Petawawa, Trenton, Kingston, Montreal. We have that capacity to be able to bring that in. From there, each province, so the phase two rollout, every province will receive a satellite hub in the main military or military bases and stations or dockyards. And then from there, all of the small pocket areas like Edmonton would be a main area. Calgary would be a sub-hub. So we're going to create a hub there. Cold Lake, Alberta, I think Lethbridge, and then Wainwright, Alberta. So I got my thoughts on Wainwright. I was posted there once. We create these sub-hubs so that people, and whether it be virtual access and or somebody going there once a week, once every second week, to meet with people, talk, educate, bring in different speakers, very similar to other organizations that are doing that today. The Legacy Project out in the Calgary, I think it is, or Edmonton place, they'd be an opportune partner because they've already got a presence out there and they're already doing what we really want to do. What we can bring is that extended financial capacity and knowledge base that would help them and grow within the Vet Hub.
Cool.
So that's national. And phase 3 is kind of international. I've been talking to some of my Afghanistan special forces guys that are very interested in France and Germany to expand. We would also meet with our English counterparts who have started something very similar. And then, of course, our traditional, Australia, and we got New Zealand, we got Japan, and we got all the different militaries, including India and stuff like that, have voiced some expression of interest. So I think phase 3 for us is to be able to bring this globally. I know there's a Diana organization that's been set up that has NATO organizations that have kind of a platform together for a military procurement piece. I mean, they would be an opportune organization to bring in all of those different nations and put them all into a global veterans entrepreneurship hub to grow this. So yeah, that's Joe and his world domination thing. But I think it's an opportunity for us to not only here in Canada, but work with our other veteran owned businesses globally and be able to share knowledge and share product of what works and what doesn't work, and how to approach, the political side of it, how to approach the financial side of it, the education side of it. So there's a lot of elements we can really learn from each other to do. And in the US, they've got something similar running up. I'm actually asking to go to, I call it Ithaca, New York, or the University of Syracuse. They already have a program in place. I would like to go down and learn what they're doing so we can adopt that here, right? So
very cool. This is really exciting. Really exciting. Full disclosure, I went through POE's program. I did the boot camp. It was virtual because, of course, it was right around the time of COVID. So I didn't get to take advantage of the in-person aspect, although I still felt it was very valuable, learned a lot, made some connections, which I still maintain to this day. And then from there, I also took advantage of their mentorship program. So on some of my other podcasts, Mr. Frank Speary, who's out in Nova Scotia, mind you, we've been on a few podcasts together, and certainly I'm still learning from him. It's just a continuing journey, and it's been absolutely fantastic to be part of that mentorship program. And anybody who's looking for mentorship can't undersell it enough. It's just, or I guess I can't oversell it enough. It's just, there's so much benefit you get from it. So yeah, really cool. Really cool.
And I have two organizations that I'm hopefully partnering with here in the Ottawa region. One is TIE, which is Technology, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. They're a national organization. We meet in the Ottawa chapter. We meet every third Thursday, I think or Wednesday in the month. But anyway, we meet once a month. The last speakers was a veteran-owned business, Mike Nelson, from the Ottawa region. I don't know if you know Mike. And then Lieutenant General retired Walter Sumner. And he's a wealth of knowledge. He like his mentorship to anybody is one of the most valuable things that you'll ever have. And as you said, with the gentleman, Mr. Speary down east, it is so critical that you have a sounding board, somebody that can lead you, that's been there, done that, got the t-shirt like 15, 20 times. So then we're looking also at Treble Vector. So I met with Mr. Francis Bleeker, who's the past president, at looking at developing a structured mentorship program that we can have, not just the kind of like the monthly meetings or whatever, but a formal structure. So I've developed an app, and I've developed an app that will address the gap in time frame between requesting for help and getting help. So that app hopefully will come out after we complete the training and the pilot in Nova Scotia, and be available like for the 1st of January. That will create a national veteran mentorship program. And it's not just veterans. The commercial businesses, or corporate Canada, I call it, they can also come into this. And whenever somebody needs assistance, the ability to get that assistance will be within this app.
Cool. Wow. Did you have anything else you wanted to throw out at this point, Joe? I know
Ah,
there's probably we could
I
talk
know
for
this
five
was,
hours, but anything
yeah.
else you wanted
Oh, I
to?
could talk. Yeah. I think, actually, I just got off the phone at about quarter to two
Hmm.
with Halipu First Nation
Okay.
in the west coast of Newfoundland, which many and or most of my family are Indigenous status people within that community, Halipu.
Cool.
I'm non-status at this time, only because of my father never applied, and he died before he could reapply.
Mm.
So it makes it a challenge. But in the future, when I can stop doing projects and stuff like that. But this program that we're developing with Halipu First Nation is an Indigenous Veterans Wellness Program,
Mm.
and it'll incorporate the opportunity to support those with OSI through their military service, injured veterans that are struggling to get back on their feet. It will incorporate a drug and alcohol rehabilitation piece that typically goes with OSI injuries. So we're going to develop that. It'll be an in-house program, very similar to going to another 6 month in-depth recovery program of some type. This one will be focused on bringing initially Indigenous veterans back into the teachings of our elders, bringing them back to the land and understanding more about our Indigenous culture. Then we'll open it up to national veterans. You don't have to be Indigenous if anybody wants to follow the program. And then from there, we'll open it up in phase 3 or 4 to first responders,
Cool.
right, that are Indigenous, and then those that are not Indigenous.
Hmm.
This program, currently, there's an expression of interest in Manitoba by the Wabkanu government. I'm working with the MLA, David Kretz, and I'm going to bastardize his name, Kredziap.
Okay.
He's their military envoy. And I've been speaking with another veteran who's working with an organization out on the West Coast who are starting to develop a very similar program and want to understand about more. So this will become a national program. I call it a cookie cutter, developed in Halipu and then pushed across the country to all the provinces, and could be an extension of the Vet Hub as one of those initiatives in there. The other initiative I have that's gaining some light more and more is National Veterans Affordable Housing Program right across the country, 31 different sites. And then the last one, of course, which has been kind of taking a back seat at this time, is the Canadian Veteran, or I called it the Canadian Military University. Some people thought I was RMC. Not there at all. This will be the Canadian Veterans University, and it'll be focused on the education and training components and degreed programs that will benefit you for your transition to Civvy Street. And it could be anywhere from a 1-year certificate program up to a 3-year bachelor, a 2-year focused MBA program for your transition, and it'll incorporate huge components of innovation with advanced technologies, whether it's AI, and even I'm into the quantum space now.
Cool.
So I enjoy that space. So those are kind of 4 Canadian military banking systems coming online in a few years, stuff like that.
I think maybe if you can sort of look at the states in some ways, like I think what you're describing, and tell me if I'm off the mark here, but some of these things are in some ways likely already well underway. They've got good funding. There's a good network across the country. So in a certain aspect, it's like, hey, they're doing it well in other countries. Why don't we have this? People
Exactly.
serve, they're giving their lives in their service. Why can't we support them in a similar way especially as they're making that step to their next chapter? So this is all fantastic, Joe. You're
Right.
doing all this. It's amazing.
Yeah. American Military University is already up and running,
Mm.
and the model is kind of copying their model. You go down to places like I was stationed in, and please don't hate me. I was stationed in Tyndall Air Force Base, Panama City Beach, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
for 2 years, and we had the federal Tyndall Federal Credit Union.
Mm-hmm.
So it's time that we have a credit union that's specific to veterans and meets the veterans' needs here in Canada, especially since we rotate into different positions and different bases and different roles. And, at different stages of our life, we want to buy and sell houses, we want to buy cars.
Yeah.
The commercial industry is great, but sometimes, as with veteran-owned businesses, it's very awkward to get, a loan for something,
Yes.
especially in the business space. Like it's
Mm.
like unless you have credibility and credentials or some type of asset that they can drain from you, it's very hard to get that funding. So yeah, I want to bring in something along that nature, but these are all longer-term programs.
Very cool. Well, thank you for coming on the show today. This has been awesome, and I'm gonna have to have you back again just to see where the next chapter is taking you and how it's all rolling down the runway. This is just fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Take care.